The most important lesson that I've learned this year so far, that took me way too long to figure out, is that not everything needs to be taken as advice. Be careful who you are listening to, taking advice from, because when you're starting out, especially in your early 20s, starting out your career or doing something that you have always wanted to do that not a lot of people do, right? It can feel lonely. So your first resort is to find people that are doing similar things, right? Because we want to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. It can only help. So you find creators, you find entrepreneurs, you read books, you consume a lot of content. And the problem is that this can become an addiction, right? We can almost overvalue every single little thing that we read, because if this person is talking about it, they must know more than you do. And there is some truth to that, right? When you're just getting started, how can you expect yourself to know everything? Nobody knows everything anyways, even the people that you're looking up to. So this addiction becomes prevalent, and every day you're spending more time consuming advice and not really taking action. And there's so much advice out there that it can leave us in analysis paralysis. Someone will recommend something that is good advice, but then you hear someone else with conflicting advice, and you just have to make the choice. Which one do I follow? And that can cause analysis paralysis. What inspired this video is advice that I have taken from, you all know this person, Andrew Huberman. And one of the things that he recommends is to wait 90 minutes in the morning to have your first coffee so that you can prevent crashing later in that afternoon, and just let your adenosine levels, which are the natural chemicals in our brain that wake us up, do its thing in the morning. Because what happens is when we consume caffeine first thing in the morning, it hinders the natural adenosine levels from waking us up. So he says, let your adenosine chemicals do its thing. And once it's done doing its thing, around about 60 to 90 minutes, ideally 90 minutes, then have your caffeine, so that you're not, because from my understanding, let's say if we look at adenosine levels from a meter of 1 to 100, if you have a coffee at about 50%, what happens is it keeps that adenosine level right at that 50%, so that when the caffeine wears off, you're right back here and you're feeling tired. I could be totally butchering that, but the point is that he recommended waiting 90 minutes in the morning to have your first coffee. And before I heard this advice, I loved waking up and having a coffee and reading a book and just allowing myself to approach the day with solitude and just prioritize my energy, because I don't know, waking up and reading a book and having a coffee is just such a beautiful life pleasure. And when I reflect on my experience with doing that, those days that I did wake up and read a book and have a coffee, I genuinely had better days. I had a better mindset, my energy was better, and throughout the day I made better decisions. And this is my point, because recently I started reading a book that's about Steve Jobs. It's his autobiography, and this book has been so amazing for me. Just the energy that it puts me in after reading it, and I actually wake up early now and I'm looking forward to reading the book, and it's actually something that helps me get out of bed. And I've been reflecting on, how much better my mental health has been lately, just waking up. I don't immediately have my coffee. It might take me about 20, 30 minutes to finally have it. Probably really about 45, because the first 10 minutes of the coffee being made, I don't want to drink it. It's too hot. And I just feel so much more calm throughout my day. I feel like centered. I feel more creative. Another thing that I've been doing is like right after reading is focusing on music production, which is counterintuitive to a lot of advice that you hear out there, which is wake up, go immediately into work and do your one thing, finish it as soon as possible. And then everything else is every other secondary task after that, which in the past I would consider music production a secondary task. What I've noticed is that because I'm waking up earlier, I'm going to bed earlier, I am getting my work done. I used to think that if I didn't do my one thing first thing in the morning before anything else, like the one thing that's going to generate revenue as much as possible, I would think that I was wasting my time. And really, like, I'm just feeling so lit up with energy that I feel like I'm in self-alignment. I feel like I'm really focusing on what I want to focus on. I'm creating my path. I'm doing the things that I want to do. And that's why I believe you have to be careful what advice you take to heart. Yes, it's great to know that 90 minutes into my day, waiting to have a coffee until then is optimal, right? But I don't think everything needs to be biohacked. I think that is one of the most important lessons that I've learned in my 20s, is that your path is your path for a reason. Take note of what works for you and ignore everything else. Yes, have an open mind when somebody suggests something, give it a shot. But if it doesn't work, doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, doesn't mean that you're less than, doesn't mean anything other than the fact that you're just living your own life. And I think when you're fully convicted in living your own life and just being on your path, not feeling the need to get validation from other people who are ahead of you or that you look up to or that you respect, I think that if we just had less advice out there, it's kind of funny because I'm giving you advice technically, but if we just had less advice out there, I think we would all be happier humans. So my point in this whole video is take everything with a grain of salt. I think being naive is almost like a beautiful thing sometimes. So don't be hard on yourself. You know, if something doesn't work for you, don't do it. It's that simple. And I think what really, really makes an impact here is taking time to reflect on your life, on your energy levels, on your well-being, what you're focusing on. Are you leaning into bad habits or are you not? You know, because I noticed that when I was trying to wait 90 minutes to have a coffee every morning, I almost like dreaded waking up and ended up snoozing the alarm a lot more often. And to me, that was a lot worse than just waking up and having my coffee. And if it means like having a little cat nap in the middle of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world. In fact, like I feel like it's good to have a little cat nap in the middle of the day, because just 10-15 minutes laying down, something that I do is I lay out my yoga mat on the floor over here, and I allowed just laying on the floor to correct my back, because I do kind of have lower back challenges. And I also use this little neck brace. Let me grab it real quick because this thing is a game changer. And I lay on this, and the max they recommend is 10 minutes. So it's perfect to take a little cat nap on. And when I wake up from that cat nap, I feel like I have a whole new day, and it's only 2 p.m. So what happens is that 5 p.m. comes around, and usually like you cut off work, you know, if you're following the normal lifestyle. But I find that like I don't even want to cut off work. Like I'm excited to work on things. I'm excited to work on this video project. I'm excited to build another landing page. I'm excited to consume some audiobook on how I can improve my brand. And I think that just having less restrictions on my life has opened up so much creativity, curiosity, inconsistency in my life that I'm just so grateful for. And I don't think I'd be feeling this way if I was trying to follow every single person's rules and advice, and just really like discrediting my own agency and figuring myself out and figuring my life out. And I think that this applies to everybody. Like, this isn't just me. So if you got this far in the video, it's a good chance that there's a voice inside of you that's trying to tell you this as well. And I hope that this video allows you to just simplify your life and to stop seeking the next piece of advice, and to also curate exactly where you're getting advice from. Like, don't just click on some random video. Don't just click on some order some random book. Do your research. Should I listen to this person? Do they really have the lifestyle that I want? That's a great question to ask yourself when it comes to taking advice from people. Do they really have the lifestyle, the mindset, the energy, the impact, whatever? Do they really have what I want? Because we are all different. We all have different tastes. We all have different, interests. We all have a different path. And if you're trying to take advice from every single person out there, ultimately you're going to feel stuck. That was me for sure. And I just felt like hopeless, like, why is nothing working? And then you seek the next person's advice, try that for a month, then feel stuck again. It's like, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. It's way stronger than you give it credit. Follow your intuition, man. It is so impactful. And just take it easy, man. Like, life is beautiful. Appreciate what you have. Focus on what you can. Do your best with what you got. But most of all, listen to your intuition. If you want to connect on Instagram, my handle is at AshtonTJoe. Would love to connect with more of you guys, so please feel free to DM me. Let me know what your thoughts are. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.